Hello and thanks for joining me today. My name is Jenny. I'm from Jenny Card Designs. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting, tutorials, and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. So today I've got a couple of things to share with you. First, I want to talk about a new template that I have available for download on my website at jennycards.ca. You can find these there. Now these are sets of printable sentiments. I have two designs for you. I have a black background with white text, and I have a white background with black text. And now you can print these yourselves and cut them along the lines here and cut up little sentiment strips. Just a simple design to help you create cards quick and easy. And then the next thing I have for you are my Gemvelope Slimline card kits. Now in the Slimline card kit you get 6 card bases, 6 Gemvelopes, 6 inserts, 6 matte layers, and 6 stamping layers. And these are all handmade by me. I cut and scored and glued everything myself with my own 2 hands. And I'm just going to show you sort of what comes in this little kit. So first we'll start with this smooth cardstock. This is a nice smooth white cardstock, great for stamping, and it's a nice heavyweight card, so you'll get nice results with that. And then we've got a black matte layer. This is also a heavyweight cardstock, so you can also use this for die cutting or things like that, but you can also use this to create a layer just like this, which you then can adhere to these Slimline cards. Now these are pre-cut and scored, ready for use. They're a nice, super smooth gray cardstock. You could stamp directly on this card base, or you can use the layers that I've provided to stamp whatever you like and adhere them to your card. You can not put the black layer if you don't like and just put the white. That's an option too. You can also take these layers and put them on the inside of your card base. There are not enough layers in the pack to do both the front and the inside. There are white inserts that I'll show you in just a moment instead. So that's an option if you want to use that layer for the inside and stamp on the front. Or you can use the inserts that I've provided. Now these are pre-cut and scored as well. They're just a typing paper, and it just creates a sort of a classy look. And you just line that up on the inside and you can adhere that down, and I'll show you that later. And it leaves a nice little gray border on the inside of your card, and then you can adhere your stamp layer and your panel to the front of your card. So those are the options that you have for the card bases and the layers. And now for the envelope options, we have 6 envelopes in total. And like I said, I cut and scored and glued these together myself. I used both of my templates. I used my Gemvelopes policy style, and I used my Gemvelope business style. So you'll get 3 of each envelope, 3 policy and 3 business, so that you have a bit of a variety. You can test out my product line and see if you like it. And they all come in the same soft storm cardstock as the card base, and so they're a perfect coordinating match. And that's what I love about that. So those are going to be all inside of the Slimline card kit, and those are available on my website at jennycards.ca. Currently I'm only shipping to Canada at this point in time. Keep an eye out for future updates on shipping to US. So but the templates, any of my templates are available across the world. So rest assured you can get those anywhere. So I'm going to create a card for you today, showing you I'm going to use all of the products in the Slimline card kit and one of my sentiment strips. And I'm going to use the business style envelope for my project. And I'm also going to use a Gina Designs stamp set. This stamp set is called My Island. I love the little stamp texture in the background and the little images and things like that. So I wanted to create a fun Slimline card. I had a good idea for that little stamp. So let's get into this project. So I'm going to pull off this stamp from my backer sheet, and I'm going to grab some acrylic blocks and some ink. So I've got some Gina Designs powder blue ink and that stamp, and I'll load it up onto an acrylic block. And because I haven't used this stamp before, it's brand new, I'm going to take a microfiber cloth and wipe away some of the manufacturing residue. And then I'm also going to grab my mouse pad. This is just my mouse pad from my computer, and I find that I get really good stamping results with it. So I inked up my stamp really well, and then I'm just sort of eyeballing where I want to space these. I'm going to stamp it 3 times. So I do one on the right and then one on the left, and then try to get the center in the middle as best as I can. And I didn't do the best job. I was over to the one side just a little bit, but no worries. We're going to add a sentiment strip, so it will kind of distract you from that stamp that's not 100% centered. But we won't worry about that for now. So this is all inked up. Now I'm going to take another acrylic block, and I'm going to take this little group of palm trees. And it's just a silhouette stamp, and I'm going to use a dark black pigment ink for this. I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and also I'm wiping the manufacturing residue off of that stamp as well. And I'm going to ink this up really good, and then I'm going to stamp these trees in the center of each of my little blue squares. So again, I'm not measuring anything, I'm just eyeballing. I get them stamped, and I'm happy with the way they look. So I'm going to stamp that 3 times, 1 in each square. And that's it for the stamping for this card. Now I'm going to adhere this layer to my black layer, and this layer comes in the Slimline card kit. So I'm just going to layer this up and get it centered on that panel as best as I can. And looks good. I'm happy with that. And now I'm going to adhere that to the front of my card base. And all the measuring is done for you here with this card kit. You don't have to worry about it not being cut properly. Everything should line up perfectly. And I'll get this panel adhered to the front of my card base. Okay, looks good. And now let's work on the inside of this card. So I'm going to take my typing paper insert, and I'm just going to add a few dots of adhesive. Oh, first I'm going to stamp the little trees in the corner just to tie everything together. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of adhesive on the top part of this paper so that when I insert it, it's going to stick to the top of the card. So I'll show you what I mean here. I'm going to line this up centered as best as I can, and I fold it in half to do so, and then I close it, and then that adhesive is only on the top part of that little insert, and then it's lined up perfectly, and we're good to go. Now we're going to move over to my sentiment strips. This is the download that I showed you earlier, and we're just going to cut it all up, and I'm going to choose a sentiment that I like, that I think goes good with this card. And I decided to go with sending you smiles across the miles. And I like that. So I'm going to use my trimmer to cut these words out. And now I just line up the top of the word with my trimmer guide and then slice. And then I flip it around and do the same thing with the bottom of the word. And then for the sides, I line up the side of the last letter to the edge of my trimmer guide and flip it around and do the same thing. And then we have a perfectly cut sentiment strip. Okay, now I just want to show you quickly how fast you can cut out these sentiments. If you want to cut them all out at once, you can just go ahead and slice one at a time using the top of the trimmer, or it's kind of a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch for each one. So you can just cut them and eyeball them. There's enough space in between to make sure that you get a nice black border around each of your strips. And just slice and push it along until you're all done. And then you have all these strips ready to go. And then you can cut off the sides, or in some cases, fishtail the banners if you like. Some sentiment strips are not as long as others, so you have a little bit more space to work with. All right, so let's take this strip and adhere it between the 2 sort of rectangles that are a little bit farther spaced. So once we put that sentiment over top, it'll sort of draw your eye away from that error. So I like the way that that looks. So that's perfect. And then I'm going to grab a couple of sequins. I've just got a mix of different things in my stash, and I'm using some liquid adhesive, and I'm going to put a few different size sequins on my card and sprinkle them around. I think I put 3 in total, and I like the way that looked, and I think that's good for this card. This card is complete. Super cute. And it was super easy. All the work is done for you in that Slimline card kit and the sentiment strips. And it makes a beautiful and elegant card. So here again is just a sort of a recap of what comes inside of your Slimline card kit, your envelopes, card bases, pre-cut and scored, and your cardstock layering and so on. And then the sentiment strips that you can cut apart, and each sheet has 40 sentiments per sheet. So you can find all of these on my website at www.jennycards.ca, and you can find all of my downloads there. And those downloads are available across the world. So that is it for today's video. Here's a close-up look at our finished card project. I had fun making this card today, and I hope that you'll check out my website to check out some of those new products that are currently available in my store. Coming up on screen are a few videos I think you may enjoy. Have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!